But there's still something. And it's been said. Okay. That's what I'm, and I'm so kind of staring. Got it. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. It looks like we have.
Let's take that out of the.
This one?
Oh, man, it's sharp blade. You always. Here. Not. You see? Oh. He's always so careful.
It's gonna run. I want. We're gonna.
And yeah, we do have a
I was like sailing jeans. No, no, no. I love language, so. Ready for the.
Yeah, but we.
Good, we're good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, good, yeah. Okay, we are now calling to order the February meeting of the Ala Moana Kaka'ako Neighborhood Board. The purpose of the neighborhood board is to encourage civic engagement and to ensure that our neighborhood is a great place to live, work, play, and thrive. I'm going to go through roll call. Ronnie Chang. Okay, I'm here. Member Webb, Richard Webb. Vice Chair Dyson Chi. Vice Chair Chi.
Here,
Okay, see you online.
can you repeat that?
First Chair Dyson Chi for roll call.
Testing, can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Dyson.
Okay, thank you. Member Mariano is not here today. Secretary Jeannie Rice.
Here.
Member Carolyn Behringer.
Present.
Treasurer Kim Koko Yomoto.
Here.
Second Vice Chair Lori Farina. Present. Member Emma Davis. Present. Okay, it looks like we have quorum. Let's go to public safety reports. Honolulu Fire Department. Are you online?
Yeah, HFD's here.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Sorry, this is my first time doing this. They got the young guy doing this. My name is Jake. I'm with the Honolulu Fire Department Search and Rescue here at the Pu'a Fire Station. I'm kind of just gonna read off what we got for you guys. So statistics provided below represent confirmed numbers of incidents in the NHB's geographical area for the previous month. You have any questions at the end of what I go through, we can relay all of that to our CRO. So incident statistics for January 2024, as far as fires go, we had 1 structure fire, we had 2 cooking fires, and we had 16 activated alarms. And that for us is calls for activated alarm systems, no fire. As far as emergencies, medical emergencies, we had 158. Motor vehicle collisions, we had 9. Ocean rescues, 1, and hazardous material incidents, 1. As far as our fire safety tips and announcements for the month, don't stall, call 911. We all got that one. It says call 911 right away when there is an emergency. Once the operator is on the line, speak clearly and provide an accurate description of the type of emergency and the location. Remain calm. The operator may ask for additional information or provide instructions. If you find yourself in a spot where you do not have a good reception or voice communication, you can text emergency to 911. If you don't know the passcode to unlock your cell phone, you can also push the emergency button to unlock it and also call 911. So that is what I got here. Does anybody have any questions for us here at the Pu'a Fire Station? All right. Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Next up, the public safety reports, Honolulu Police Department, Lieutenant Sagusho, I see you online.
Good afternoon, everybody. And unlike HFD, they sent the old guy to do the the neighborhood board. So I'll be taking care of it from now on. Right on HFD, bro. Support you guys out there. So I hope everybody's Valentine's Day week and Super Bowl week was memorable. I just wanted to, I'm going to be giving you guys the statistical information for the month of January. And here we go. So motor vehicle thefts for this month, for January was 19. Previous to that was 14. Burglaries was 6. Previous to that was 6. Thefts is 113. Previous to that was 98. UMVs were 46. Previous to that was 22. Assaults was 18. Previous 20. Sex assaults were 4. Previous to that was 0. Graffiti cases were 3. Previous to that was 2. Drug offenses were 13, and previous to that was 10. So total cost for service for your area is 4,188, compared to the previous month of 3,943. If you guys are interested in more specific statistical information, you guys can go to the public website at www.honolulupd.org. With that, I'm going to just cover a few things. So I just wanted to thank some of the board members and the community for coming out to the Yara families memorial sign waving that occurred on the 17th from noon to 2. It was a good turnout. Kind of gave Shevlin, hope that everything that we're doing right now is going to help keep the streets safe for everyone else. I also wanted to touch bases on this weekend. This upcoming weekend, March 3rd, is going to be the King's Run. So expect rolling road closures from 3 o'clock in the morning until the race is done. So avoid those particular areas. If you need to know where the route's going to be, you can go onto the website and just type in King's Run, and it'll take you to the actual website where the route will be shown. There will be actual toll zones. We're trying to get the toll zones cleared by 1. So realize that too. So people might have to locate their vehicles on other surface streets away from the race. Yeah. So the safety awareness tip for the month of February is going to be in regards to these motor vehicle thefts of Kias and Hyundais. We're just asking our community members to be more vigilant and take proper precautions, vehicle alarms, steering wheel clubs, parking in more secured areas. I suggest that the owners of these vehicles consult the website to look at their particular years that are affected, and then consult with your dealership in regards to possibly getting a software upgrade to mitigate these types of thefts. If asking our community members to, if they see something suspicious, just to please call us and let us make the determination if it's a criminality occurring, or if it's just something just out of the ordinary. Yeah. So if you see something, say something, right? Just to give you a statistical information in regards to these thefts, these Kias and Hyundais, island-wide. So District 5, which is Kalihi, and District 1, which is the Greater Honolulu, where we are at right now, accounted for 52% of all of the thefts. So these vehicles are very highly sought after and are easy to manipulate and get stolen. Yeah. At this time, I'll yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board and the public attendees.
Lieutenant Gusho, thank you. Board members, question, Member Farringer.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant, for being here again today. So I've had some residents ask me just to ask you about noise ordinance, specifically what type of enforcement is done for vehicles that are either have very loud exhaust or really, really loud music playing. That's been a real problem in addition to some of the other things that have been going on in our neighborhood. And we're just wondering, is there enforcement for that? Or is there not an opportunity for you to enforce it? There's not a law.
No, that's a very good question, Board Member Farringer. So in regards to the noise ordinance, so there's 2, yeah. So one of them, let's start with the loud mufflers. So noisy mufflers, loud mufflers, there is a section for that. I think the fine for that should be $97. However, just like I said, I think that has to be taken care of also during the safety check inspections. Obviously, they have to turn on their vehicle and or drive it in, right? A safety check inspection location. That's the place that they should be enforcing that type of law. It's very difficult for us because sometimes we cannot tell which vehicles has the loud muffler because they're zooming by, but sometimes they are. But the thing is, we don't have any decibel meters. So the decibel meters is something that we need to be trained on in order to enforce, take any type of enforcement in regards to that. And I know that there was some issues with that being brought up for the greater area of Waikiki. So safety checks, if they, obviously they're the one that do the safety checks, they should have decibel meters and, they can be trained up on it and then, act accordingly, fail these guys for the safety check and have them reconvert their mufflers back to stock. Yeah. In regards to the loud music ordinance, there is a section for that, right? So there's motor vehicles with loud stereos or radios and stuff. So the section states that if I can hear that vehicle from at least 30 feet away, then we can cite. However, these people that are driving these types of cars, they're pretty smart. They see the blue light, they go ahead and turn it off, yeah, or at least turn it down. And then they go driving by, and then further down the road, they turn it back up on and stuff like that. But we have had certain citations issued. I was present during one of those citations. We actually had to kind of follow this guy, and we had actually stopped him in the Waikiki area because obviously there was traffic, and we was trying to get around and trying to get up to him. We did cite this person. But yes, it is sometimes difficult because just like I said, they see the blue light, they go ahead and turn it down, and then when they pass, when they're further down, there's no blue light, they go ahead and turn it back up. In what particular area would be in concern for you?
Equally, it's right around the mall, and it's just it's actually to a point where the stereos the bass being so loud shakes the building. I've seen some elderly people actually get very startled too. I mean, it can be quite jarring when it's that loud. And I really appreciate, I know you've gone over this before with regard to mufflers, but it's just something we'd like you to be aware of too, because it's becoming really bad. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll take that back to my officers and see if we can get some citations in regards to those violations.
Okay, thank you, Member Farringer. Any other board members have questions? Secretary Rice.
Lieutenant Seguccio, hi. Is there a way HPD can do a more impactful public relations campaign about noise? I remember years ago they did, I forget under whose administration, but I remember there were a lot of complaints, especially with the mopeds and how much noise their mufflers make, and that seemed to go away. I think it kind of went away because the mopeds were made better and they couldn't adjust them or something like that. But perhaps the PR side of the department could get the word out more that you're going to be citing people with boom boom radios and loud mufflers, and at the fear of getting ticketed, maybe that would help. I don't know, but communication, we keep talking about communication at this meeting, and that usually helps. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll take that to my traffic division. So the traffic division deals with all these motor vehicle movements, and they do traffic enforcement, solo bike. So I'll relate it to Major Station Tanaka and Acting Captain Mike Campbell and try to see if we can maybe get some more enforcement in regards to these loud vehicles. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Rice. Treasurer Imoto.
Thank you, Lieutenant Seguccio. So following up with Member Rice's and Member Farringer's comments about sound. So I know that on the northern part of our district, actually it's part of maybe Makiki's neighborhood board, but I know on Kinau, there's a lot of, they're kind of like hornets, these mopeds with a certain high-pitched engine. They all go zooming down in the middle of the night down Kinau. And what we figured out was most of the police cars, when they're headed towards Diamond Head, they go on, usually on King Street, right from the police station. And then they come back on Baratania, but they rarely go down. And I think you mentioned a little while ago about the more they see a police car, the more they'll maybe not want to go on certain streets. So I just want to maybe if you can ask your station at Baratania and encourage the officers to take a path lesser traveled, you know, to go down on Kinau and maybe come up on Pi'ikoi more so than maybe south or one of the other streets. I'm not sure what streets they're coming up to when they're coming off of Ala Moana Boulevard to go to the police station. But that might help. Also, maybe what might help also is if in the parking lot of Ala Moana Shopping Center towards Pi'ikoi, maybe we actually install or ask the shopping center to install a blue light that looks like a cop light. So if their eyes are scanning around, they see a blue light, but it's just, they don't know if it's a car parked in the, you know, just kind of install something. Anyway, that's an option. We can maybe talk to them.
Absolutely. So I'll talk to my so those beats that you're talking about on Kinao Street is 165 and 167. So I'll go in try to speak to those officers that take care of that particular area to maybe do a little bit more high visibility patrol with their blue lights. In regards to the blue light surveillance cameras, I think there's one on Walgreens off of Beretania. That's pretty much helped their location from these active thefts that occur at night. But still, just like I said, they'll figure it out. They'll see that it's a machine. But just like I said, I'll go ahead and pass it on to my patrol officers and try to see if we can do a little bit more high visibility patrols in those particular areas on Kinao.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Treasurer Emoto and Lieutenant Superintendent for your response. Any other board members with questions? Okay, seeing none. Any questions from our public? Okay, thank you. Moving on, board business, nominations and elections to fill the sub-district 1 current vacancy. Do we have any volunteers? No one wants to join our board?
There's so much fun.
Okay, well, moving on to our next agenda, our next meeting agenda. 3.2, approval of the January 23rd, 2024 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any edits, questions, comments, concerns?
Good.
Okay, seeing none.
Move we accept the minutes.
Okay, second. Okay, we'll just do a general vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes approved. Thank you, board. Okay, moving on. 3.3, report from our February 8, 2024 Action Committee meeting with our committee chair, Emma Davis.
Great. I'm getting confused between my two screens, but I'll look at this one. You know, we had a jam-packed action committee, covering a bunch of things, really trying to hone in on, you know, more the residentially challenged population. I know we eventually want to get into AMI and some of the affordable housing challenges, but those are kind of two separate things, and we really focused in on residentially challenged you know, solutions. We had 2 guests from the state homelessness office, I'm sorry, from the state and the county join us, which was really helpful. I think a huge part of that was realizing that we didn't need to think or come up with a potential solution, but really think about how we can, as a board, amplify or help to make the system that's being implemented at the state and county level more like efficient and implemented. And one of the things we did talk about was how many people, you know, direct their calls towards 911 and the overload that really gives to HPD in terms of, you know, just responding to non-emergent things. And that, you know, often I think diverts the attention away from things that could be more emergent. So I think, you know, moving in the direction, and we'll start to work on a resolution together that we'll want to share with the other neighborhood boards. But one of those things being, you know, how can we set up a non-emergent or make sure that people know about the non-emergent side of 911 so that those calls are being directed to the appropriate, you know, resources and organizations, rather than everything kind of being top loaded onto HPD and then trying to, you know, manage it from there. You know, I think we've heard and come back to that a couple of times, and knowing that HPD is also spread thin. You know, and if everyone's always relying on HPD to be the first line of just call 911 and they're going to show up, then, you know, it's not really a system that any organization is going to be able to, you know, keep up with long term. You know, so I think we want to really push for that and then work on the PR and the communication of that. And so, you know, moving along in in that side of things, but I think we have a lot more conversation to have in terms of what our support from the neighborhood board and the direction that we take in kind of making sure that these systems are functioning properly within our neighborhood. And then expanding that to other neighborhoods as well, which is, you know, one of the things that we really want to start to tie in some of the neighborhoods that border us. After that long conversation, we jumped into just some conversation about the resolution that's up from member Kokuyomoto on the cannabis resolution. You know, I think we had some good conversation about that in terms of just, I don't know, how to look at, you know, how people sometimes, we can have a resolution or create laws, but there are always going to be people looking to, you know, find ways around it. So how do we really kind of hone in on, you know, what policy, and I think we used our, kind of brought up the term, like, what's the action that we're really incentivizing by doing it, right? Whatever you're incentivizing is what's going to start showing up publicly and people are going to follow. So really wanting to use that as a reflective question to make sure that we're incentivizing the right actions, you know, of the community and of the board and city and county and state as well. And we wrapped it up with just a conversation on communication and how do we, as a neighborhood board, you know, become a place for public relations and communicating, you know, road closures and all these other things that sometimes aren't really, the public education side is kind of lacking in a way, not because of any one person, but just because we need to kind of unify where people go for information.
Okay, thank you, Member Davis. And the next action committee meeting is when?
March the 14th at 6 p.m.
Thank
here at Makiki Christian Church.
Thank you for that report. And we also want to thank Sam Moku from the city and county and John Mizuno from the state for both being at our meeting and listening to our discussions. I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you to the board members who attended as well as the community members. Okay, moving on. 3.4, discussion and consideration of the resolution regarding the taxation and regulation of responsible adult use of cannabis. This was introduced by Treasurer Kumpoko Iwamoto. Logan, can we pull up the resolution? Yes. Okay. So this is something that we discussed in our previous meeting, and we also went over it during our action committee meeting. Board, any discussion?
We have an updated, yeah.
So we're pulling that up right now.
The main thing I updated, which was in response to the conversation at the board action committee, was that the bullet point, well, I actually changed two little things. One was to make it more clear about the potential benefit that we're seeking is to, quote, ensure cannabis cultivation subsidizes the high costs of growing food in Hawaii by issuing the first commercial growing permits for non-medical cannabis to farmers who are already growing produce for local consumption. For example, 1 acre of cannabis to 9 acres of produce for local consumption. The second issue that I tweaked the language in response to feedback was that we want to ensure the potential benefit of increasing tax revenue to supplement, not supplant, education, housing vouchers for affordable housing, social services, and mental health services, including drug treatment. So those were the two major changes I made kind of in response to the feedback I got from other members.
Okay, board members, do we, after discussion and Member Iwamoto, thank you for your diligence and your research and proposing this. Are we ready to vote on this?
I have one piece and it's not, you know, I'm not against it. I'm almost fully in support, but again, that incentivization piece comes back to mind is, you know, if we're offering permits to people who are going to agree to grow, you know, local food, and in exchange, you know, what's to stop someone from buying up a huge portion of land so that they can benefit from that? And yeah, you know, we would get that, but we would get the, you know, fresh local food as well out of that. But I think how do we prevent, again, large corporations from becoming kind of plantation style, ownership or moving in that direction in order to get the benefit of, also growing marijuana and participating in what is a pretty lucrative industry. Again, I think that, yeah, how many people are going to do that? Maybe not that many, but when you open up something like that where the growing conditions for marijuana here are pretty solid, that people are going to want to potentially move in on that, especially at the corporate level. So I think that ties into land ownership too, but it's something that needs to be considered before we start kind of incentivizing, more land in order to participate in the growth of cannabis. It's my only hesitation, and I don't know if anybody else wants to kind of share or comment on that, but
I think this
Can we
is,
say something?
I think this is a subject that, there's many different ways you can look at it, as you noted, Emma. And, I feel the same way. My concern is that, just like anything, people drive with their radios too loud. People have mufflers that aren't right. There's always going to be, forgive me, for lack of a better term, the bad guys. So if there's a way the state and the city and county can implement some kind of tracking mechanism or enforcement mechanism, then that's a good thing, because I'm sure everyone would agree, we don't want it to go in the opposite direction. I share that same concern. I don't know how the other board members feel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Rice. Any other board members?
I just want to say maybe perhaps the incentive that the priority goes to established food growers based on number of years in business.
Right.
I like that.
Yes, and if I could just underscore that, it does say that the first grow permits go first to farmers who are already growing produce. Because what the worst case scenario is that we move towards legalization and all of these mainland corporations come in, buy up land, suck all the labor, suck all the water, and then we end up with no farmers willing to grow food. That would be the worst case situation, which is why that's the number one thing. So thank you guys all for focusing on that.
Would there be like a maximum of any one, grower, how much land that they could potentially have? Again, it's great that we want to increase the amount of locally grown fresh food because we know supply chain is a challenge as well. But, is there a maximum to kind of decrease the incentive for someone to buy up huge portions of land? Not just here on Oahu, but, statewide, there's a lot of opportunity for that potentially and a lot of people buying up land. So is there a maximum amount that someone's that going to participate or have permits would be able to grow? That might be a way to kind of, again, keep it local and not let someone kind of maximize off of land ownership here.
Okay, thank you, Member Davis. Vice Chair Chi.
Can anyone hear me? Just testing.
A little faint.
Okay. My apologies. I'm very sick right now and I lost my voice. So I will do my best to talk. But I think for myself personally, just with the concern about making sure that growers are local, I think that first be it resolved helps to address that. Enough to the point where I feel comfortable voting in support of this. At the end of the day, this isn't like the legislation that would be enacted. This is basically saying this is what we want to see as a board. These are key points that we think are important if legislation related to legalizing marijuana comes to be. So for myself, I think it makes sense to vote in support of this. I feel like it embodies kind of our collective interests as a community and as a board, especially again regarding having localized and not like basically plantation style production. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Vice Chair Chi. Any other discussion? Secretary Rice.
Thank you. Lieutenant Seguccio, not to put you on the spot, but have you had an opportunity to review this resolution introduced? And do you have any thoughts on behalf of the HPD?
I just kind of briefly saw it on the screen right now, and I was kind of reading some of the stuff. But a very good question that maybe everyone should ask is who is going to do the enforcement in regards to this new resolution, in regards to all of the farmers. There's going to be a lot of possible thefts from the farmland. We're going to have to change laws in regards to what is considered agriculture. The bottom stance with HPD is all narcotics is illegal. At this point in time, marijuana is still illegal within the police department. 13 under 0.13 grams is the only amount that's going to be a violation. Everything can be a citation and an arrest. Yeah. So who is going to be the lead law enforcement that's going to be taking care of all of these permittings, monitoring all of these lands, stopping all of these thefts? And I'm just looking at the criminality side. The medical benefits. Obviously, there is a lot of medical benefits, but I'll leave that for medical doctors. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Russo. So since we've discussed this, we could put this resolution up for a vote, or we could have further discussion on it.
Do we want to vote?
Get a vote.
Vote?
Get a vote.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to,
I move to adopt this motion, support
okay,
this resolution supporting the legalization, regulation, and taxation of cannabis for responsible adult use.
okay, motion to adopt made by Treasurer Kinpoko Iwamoto. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Vice Chair Cheese, second. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Okay, Member Chang. Okay, I'm here. I vote yes. Member Webb is not here. First Vice Chair Chi.
Aye.
Member Mariano is not here. Secretary Jeannie Rice.
Aye.
Member Carolyn Behringer.
Aye.
Treasurer Kim Koko Iwamoto.
Aye.
Second Vice Chair Lori Farinas.
Aye.
Member Emma Davis.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like our resolution is passed. Thank you, board. Appreciate the discussion, and thank you again, Treasurer Kim Koko Iwamoto, for your diligence in bringing it forward.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, moving on, 3.5, discussion and consideration of a resolution regarding Honolulu's public access and safety, health and sanitation measures. This is introduced by Secretary Jeannie Rice.
Thank you. So after reading a lot about the ACLU situation here and trying to, where they lost the recent court case regarding homeless and houseless individuals being able to lie and sit on city sidewalks, especially in the districts of Waikiki and downtown Honolulu. I just wanted to commend the city and county, the HPD, the legislators, and those that are involved. HPD has a really challenging job, and I feel that they get thrown into things that perhaps they shouldn't be, and I'd rather see them fight crime and the bad guys than having to deal with homeless and moving them off of their campsites wherever they may be. And that's one thing that our action committee meeting is working on. How can we help alleviate that responsibility that the HPD has? So I just crafted this, and with the help of Lynn Mariano, who kind of put it in a better order, nothing really has changed, just the order. I would like everyone to consider this so we can acknowledge those who work so hard to keep our community clean and free, so people like those that are in wheelchairs can navigate our city sidewalks. People who are riding bicycles on sidewalks where they're allowed can also navigate, and just the general public can have the opportunity to walk on our city sidewalks without fear of being approached or looking at someone's personal excrement or the stinky smells. I mean, I have come by those on Kiave Street, which thankfully they're not there at the moment, but where they literally had a generator, they were inside their little hut watching television. And it just surprised me that they're so creative. And one of the things that our action committee is trying to do is help get them off the streets into permanent housing that they can afford, or that some of it could be subsidized. So I ask that everyone on the board consider this, and so we can acknowledge and keep the sanitation, health and safety and public access measures alive.
Thank you, Secretary Rice. Board members, discussion?
Don't hit me. I do.
Members,
It's, and again, 97%, supported. I think the only thing that I've been really pondering lately and reading this over, and I need to read a little bit more into the court case, and the details of it. But, rejecting the ACLU's claim, I think it came up a little bit at Action Committee last time is, someone, and I don't know who it was, but made the statement, it's not illegal to be homeless.
Right.
But we also don't have anywhere where it's legal. Right? So I think that's kind of where I'm at, is where is it legal to be in this situation, or to be kind of caught up? We keep kind of pushing people around, and yes, there are some, but not enough, as member Coco Iwamoto has pointed out, of the transitional housing available, so that's a big movement. But currently, we don't really have a place where it's okay for them to be. And I think that's a really challenging thing to criminalize something when we don't have, and yeah, we're not criminalizing everybody, but after the same people come up, or, we start judging people for what they look like at their worst. I know at my worst, yeah, it's not that, but it's not pretty, and everyone has those moments, but someone reacting, but because they're in that situation, now it leads to an arrest. And, I think it's just, it's delicate, but I don't necessarily reject, I think what they're trying to say, in that, we're criminalizing homelessness in an economy where there are no safety nets, and in a place where we don't have anywhere for them to be allowed, if that makes sense.
Allowed as far as being on the streets. But
Agreed.
there are shelters, there are places where they can go.
Can I
True,
say,
and I guess that
can
yeah.
I say something? I just want to point out that I think the illegal action that we are witnessing is public places that close where we're not allowed to camp, and there's camping going on. That's illegal. There's drug use. There's,
Sure.
Even defecating in public is an illegal action. And I think there are a lot of illegal actions associated with a lot of the homeless. And that's really what we are upset about. It's not even so much about them sleeping where they are. It's the conduct that goes with it. And we need to focus on that. Unfortunately, it's hard to. None of us want to be judgmental or anything, but there's children that live here. There's children that should be using the park and not have to witness the things they're witnessing. And I feel very strongly about this, because parks are for everyone.
Thank you, Member Berenger. Treasurer Kimpo-Koimoto.
Thank you. I feel very similarly to many of the statements that were shared about the frustration with defecation, urination, all of these things. But I feel, for me, and one of the reasons why I kind of don't want my daughter to see it all too, is because she'll get the idea that this is how we treat each other. You know what I mean? why, I mean, I think the automatic question is, well, why can't they use the bathroom? Where are the bathrooms? Why are the bathrooms locked? When, you know, and you've heard, many of you have heard me bring this up around park management, that we keep locking these bathrooms that have working toilets. And it's heartbreaking. Another issue that I feel like I want to work on a resolution that actually does something for, you know, HPD, for all the people who are on the front lines. And not just be applause, but actually, like, what bold statement can we make that's actually going to help everyone do their job better and help more people get off the sidewalks and into, whether it's temporary shelter that leads to permanent shelter, something more impactful. And I'm hoping, and I think, you know, Member Davis mentioned doing a resolution, like we're working on a resolution. I feel like we're fleshing it out. Is there any way that we can have more collective wins in a resolution? And also, I mean, I see the role, I appreciate the role of the ACLU. I shared the story in our committee meeting about how they have pushed me, as when I was elected to the Board of Ed, to do better, you know, like when we weren't following the law. So I don't know if it's productive to take a swipe at the ACLU when I feel like that's an important role. And what it does for then their position on this makes me, then it arms me and gives me the motivation to ask the city and the state, where are the temporary shelters? Why don't we have enough? You know, and continuing to ask that, to say, and so that's, for me, those are the issues. Like, how do we get to real solutions to these problems, and not just, you know, aim for the low-hanging scapegoats in a way. I just feel like we need to offer more options. That's all. I want to sign on to Member Rice's a resolution that there's more positive, productive, let's do this together kind of thing. And I hope we can get there.
Thank you, Treasurer Yamato. Secretary Rice.
I'd like to respond, and thank you, Member Iwamoto, for your comments. I'd like to respond initially about the housing. It really has exploded the need since the COVID pandemic, number one, in my opinion. And a lot of people unfortunately lost their jobs, lost their homes, and it's sad. But that doesn't give them the right to park themselves on the city sidewalk, number one. The bathrooms. Moana redid the bathrooms at Moana Park, the one by Magic Island. Within a matter of days, the bathroom was broken, trashed, and it was by the homeless population. I saw it happening myself. I live right across the street from the park, and I see what goes on there with their tents and the drug dealing and the loud voices and arguing at 2 o'clock in the morning. They shouldn't be allowed in the park. They're not supposed to be in the park, but they're in the park. Shelters, yes, there's not enough shelters, but as our action committee met, we're working, supporting the state, John Mizuno and Sam Moku and their efforts, and we're going to work together, all of us. And I just feel that HPD in particular and City Council and our legislators we're all in this together. As Governor Green said, we're all trying to fix this. But we also need to thank those that have been trying over the years before we, our little group, our neighborhood board, realized we want to do something about it. So all I'm trying to do is acknowledge their efforts from the past, and let's definitely move forward, and hopefully collectively with other neighborhood boards that we've identified, and work together with the policyholders to improve the community. I can tell you, being in the tourism activity business, the comments I hear from our customers and our guests, they're appalled at what is allowed in Waikiki. And the fact that you cannot go on the beach now after 10 o'clock at night because everyone's fearful for their safety. I remember when I first came to Hawaii, before I moved here, that's the one thing we did. We sat on the beach at 1 o'clock in the morning. I felt so safe. I felt good. I haven't felt safe, in a sense, since the pandemic. And I think the pandemic gave a lot of people permission to have bad behavior. And it's just gotten worse. So in my opinion, I would just, this resolution, yes, we can make it better if we want to, but I would just like to acknowledge those, as I mentioned, who are already working hard to help the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Rice and board members for the discussion.
We can hold off.
We can,
Hold off to the next action committee meeting. As
You wanna
far as I'm
review it?
concerned. Anything to make anything better.
so board members, do we want to adopt this resolution now, or would you like for us to hold it off until we discuss it in our next action committee meeting, which is next month? And our next board meeting, again, as a reminder, will be in April. Member Davis.
Do you think there's, like, if we come back to this and add, and it becomes like a larger part of our overall resolution, would that be,
Yes.
you know, potential option?
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to, you know, potentially move it to action committee and then make it a, you know, a focal point and add on to it, or feel, you know, see what we want to add on or how we want to adjust it as part of our larger resolution.
Okay. I agree with that.
So I move that we take this resolution, have it discussed further at the next action committee meeting, and then go to vote at our April board meeting.
A second. Okay.
And thank you, everyone, for your comments.
Okay. So motion to move this resolution to our action committee meeting and then discuss it in our next board meeting in April.
Yes.
Anyone opposed?
Well, I just don't, no, I'm not opposed. I just didn't think it needed a motion, but I'll go along with the motion.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for this discussion. Again, this is a topic that is of serious consideration in our neighborhood. We know that, that's why it's on our agenda. So we will be discussing this in our action committee meeting and adding this to our April agenda. Thank you, everyone. Attendance at other meetings. Board members, do you have any reports? Okay, moving on to presentations. If the board will allow, I would like to go out of order. Mr. Wapase, I see you online as well, or you were. I'd like to put item 4.1 for discussion after 4.2 and 4.3, simply because we do have our law enforcement official here. And like there are 8 of them, and I would like you guys to have your presentations so you can get back to protecting our community. Board members, any opposition to going out of order for the agenda?
No.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, 4.2, Police Week, March on May 13th, 2024. We have Sergeant Daryl Jones and other members of the Honolulu Police Department. Thank you very much for being here today.
Good evening, board. I'm Sergeant Harold Jones with the Community Affairs Division of the Police Department. We're funding this again every year because every year in May we have the Police Memorial March. It starts at the police station and goes to the Capitol. We're here today to ask your permission to shut down the Mackay 2 lanes of Bearden from the station to the state capitol, so we can have our memorial watch. We'll shut down the road about 5:30 after peak traffic, and it'll probably be open right about 6 o'clock. It's a short one. Thank you.
And thank you, Sergeant Jones. No.
No.
Good.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Very efficient in the previous year, so.
Right,
yeah,
it's been wonderful.
Got you.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate that. Okay, 4.3, regarding HPD acquiring property at 819 South Bear 10. We have Emily Ogasa Lara from the Honolulu Police Department.
Actually, it'll be Lieutenant Barry Tom.
Mayor Tanaka, apologies. And that's.
We haven't, but. Oh, okay. We have. Yes, so thank you.
Okay, hi, my name is Barry Collins, Lieutenant with the Honolulu Police Department. I've come out of the Support Services Bureau. Here tonight with me is Chief Glenn Hayashi, who is in charge of the Support Services Bureau. And then you met Emily, she's our analyst, and then Officer Keone Chan, who's part of my staff. So what we're here today is to give you notification that we are planning to purchase the property at 819 South Vernon Street. There's 3 photos over there. I gave you a little brief on the 3rd page. There's a little excerpt of what the property is, how big it is, and so forth. So just to give you an understanding of why we want to purchase this property, it has to go all the way back to 1985, when we were once at 1455 South Carolina Street. That was the old police station. We outgrew that place after what, 40 years, 30 years, 40 years of being there, or 30 years of being there. We decided to look for another location. And upon looking for the location, a location popped up, which was the old bus barn, which was on Alapai Street and South Veritania Street. There, we're planning to move to 611 Middle Street, so that property opened, and they felt that it was a good fit for us to build a brand new police station. So it took about 7 years to do the design of it, get the monies for it, and to actually build a
Something happened to the sound.
be fiscally responsible. So we actually been looking around for like 6 years, and lo and behold, a location popped up right next door to us. So we were in talks with the company to see if it was still available to us. Yes, it is. To this point in time, we know of that there have been no offers on the location. So the reason why we're here today is part of the process of trying to obtain the location. We have to come to the neighborhood board, which is you folks, to notify you that we are planning to purchase the property. So in the long term, maybe the long-term projection is we're planning to knock down the property that exists now, which is 6 2-story buildings. And we're planning to build a 20-story building. That's our future plan. So 10 stories of parking, 10 stories of office spaces. That's the goal. So, but in the short term, we plan to level the place so we can use it as a parking lot right now. Because that helps us in 2 folds. We do have a parking problem at our main station right now. So that will kind of fix that problem. And then the second thing is that we can't use any of the buildings, so that will give us more space. So instead of being able to park, 50 cars there right now in the existing parking space, we can park nearly 100, maybe 150 cars.
Thank you.
For it.
Questions, discussion, board members?
Are there any businesses that currently exist in that location right now?
There has been no businesses there since 2016.
Cool.
And the water and power has been shut off since that time also. The only people that have been occupying it has been
Mhm.
the problem that you guys are having right now.
I'm sorry, is that the area where the Planned Parenthood is or no?
Planned Parenthood is, if you're looking at the photos, it's gonna be, to the left of it.
Okay, so it's not that, okay.
Yeah, so where that building is in between Planned Parenthood and the current Olive Fire Station.
Got it. Okay.
Are you gonna build a bridge connecting to your?
Yes, we are. The plan is to build a skyway, the same like what Straub is doing to their facility
Right,
across the
right,
street.
yes.
So we're trying to build a skyway also, which is a secure walkover between the two buildings. And we'll connect the two buildings.
Wonderful.
That's great.
All right, good luck in your endeavors. We wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting on our board today. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today, the time is now 6:57 p.m. We are now at the item 4.1 DSGIS LOI Flood Risk Management Project. Mr. Dave Latase, are you online? Okay.
Yes, I'm online. So I'll begin. Aloha Chair Lee and members of the Ala Moana Kakako Neighborhood Board. My name is Dave Watase. I've been following the Ala Flood Mitigation Project since 2015. I've attended almost every related meeting held by the Army Corps. I submitted my written testimony, which goes into further detail of the draft supplemental EIS for the Ala Flood Mitigation Project, published on Thanksgiving Day, 2023. It also has links to the full 3,741 page draft supplemental EIS and links to the project website, which has PowerPoint and video of all the public engagement meetings for this project. Your neighborhood board previously passed 3 resolutions pertaining to previous project plans under Chair Tam. I see many new faces, and you may not know the history or know of my involvement. My involvement began in 2015 when the Army Corps incorporated several upstream detention basins on private properties without engaging the property owners and/or the neighboring communities. The current project is based on a reevaluation study jointly funded by the Army Corps and the city. I'm going to share my screen right now, if you don't mind. Okay. And the current project costs 1.075 billion, and the benefits are 905 million, and include flood walls near the Woodlawn Bridge in Manoa, flood walls along Kuali Road, and you can kind of see it on the diagram I have on my shared screen. Kuali Road near the old Wailai Road, flood walls around the Alawai Canal, flood walls and berms around the Alawai Golf Course, which is to be used as a large detention basin. The project is designed to mitigate the 50-year flood, whereas the previous designs were for the 100-year flood. The Alawai Canal is open to the ocean, is tidal influenced, and subject to high tides, tide surges, and sea level rise, all of which can impact the effectiveness of flood walls. As an example, a downgraded hurricane with a minor 4-foot tide surge combined with a high tide will negate any benefits from a 6-foot flood wall. Floodwaters will not flow to the Alawai Canal, out of the Alawai Canal, until the elevation is higher than the ocean. The downside to above ground flood walls are that they all require our interior storm drainage to be capped for several hours. And by doing so, it will induce flooding to Kapahulu, Mo'ilili, Makali, and Ala Moana, and Makiki. So right here, if you look at this diagram, this is for the 2% flood, that's 50-year flood. And on the left, you have without project conditions. And on the right is with the tentatively selected plan. Okay, and you'll see here that everything Malka of the Alwai Canal still incurs flooding. Okay, the Army Corps incorrectly assumed that private landowners will 100% go along with the structural flood mitigations caused by the induced flooding. The cost of private land acquisitions, and this is in their draft supplemental EIS, should no one participate, could be as high as $5.47 billion, which falls under the obligation of the non-federal sponsor, our city. So their, $1 billion price tag, could basically soar to by $5 billion if we're not careful. If we don't carefully evaluate what's in this draft supplemental EIS. We believe there are better, more economically feasible solutions that are not tidal influenced that we can support. They include underground tunnels that capture floodwaters at higher elevations, bypassing the canal, going straight to the Alwai Harbor to handle the upper watershed floodwaters. A floodgate and lock system at the Alma Boulevard Bridge and a flood pump on the golf course network two tunnels to bypass the canal to handle the lower watershed floodwaters. These alternative concepts were validated by the Army Corps' own engineering peer review process and the City Council's hired consultant Oceanet's use of tunnels. I will point out some obvious things with Army Corps plan. In this figure that I have up, which is for the 50-year flood, you'll notice Waikiki and University of Hawaii Manoa are the primary beneficiaries of this project because there's no blue. You'll see Alwai Elementary School and Iolani School are all covered in blue, and they get induced flooding. Okay, so this is I kind of zoomed in on their wall plan, and the red is the flood walls, and the little X's that you see, those are, if you look at the it's for road closures. So in order for the wall to be 6 foot above ground level, it's going to force, the water needs to pass over the, not under the bridge, but over the bridges. So it's going to require Kalakaua Bridge to be shut down, McCully Bridge to be shut down, Date Street Bridge to be shut down, Kapiolani Bridge next to Kamiki High School to be shut down, King Street Bridge next to the H1 off-ramp to be shut down, the Koali Bridge that leads to the Koali subdivision will have to be shut down. All of these will be blocked for several hours to let the water pass over the bridges. In summary, we're not against flood mitigation. We do not endorse the Army Corps' flood wall plan and instead favor better, more sustainable alternative solutions using tunnels, floodgate, flood pumps, and ecosystem restoration measures. 4 neighborhood boards already unanimously passed similar resolutions. There are Diamond Head, Kapahulu, St. Louis Heights, number 5, Manoa, number 7, Makali Mo'ilili, number 8, and Makiki, Lower Punch Bowl, Tantalus, number 10. If you took a look at the resolution, it's pretty much self-explanatory. But one thing I want to point out, on the be it further resolved, and something that we've been pushing even from previous resolutions, are that we want the Army Corps to establish an official community advisory group consisting of all members representing each neighborhood board within the Alwai watershed, which includes Waikiki. I ask for your support for the resolution, and I thank you for your service to the community. And that's it. Any questions?
Mr. Watasi, thank you for that presentation. Questions from the board?
Yeah, that's,
Member Davis?
no, just, I was, having fine, a lot to take in. Um,
Secretary Rice?
Mr. Watasi, thank you so much for being here and presenting to us. Could you tell us your background and are you just a concerned citizen? Forgive me for not knowing your background, and I appreciate your efforts and what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, in 2015, I was given 45-day notice that I have vacant land in Palolo Valley, that the Army Corps, 2 years without my knowledge, designed a massive detention basin, which would require my eminent domain on my property. So personally, I was, motivated because of that threat. But I'm a civil engineer by schooling, and I kind of understand the process, and I was shocked, and I was like, no one even mentioned it to me. I had no knowledge of it, and basically the Army Corps said, you can provide comments. You got 45 days, but there's no discussion. 3 years later, the federal government, Congress had funded the project, and they were all ready to build the project out. And that got me energized. And I realized that there were several other detention basins in the upper watershed nobody knew about. And many other homeowners were at risk of losing their property or being right next to a monstrous dam behind in their backyard. So we house by house, I walked and got people to understand about the project, and we fought it in the legislature for the funding with the city. Ultimately, we formed a nonprofit. We did file a lawsuit. We won, and the Army Corps had to basically go back to the drawing board. We weren't against flood mitigation. It was the process, and we also understood that there were better alternatives that don't require a 6-foot wall, and probably will provide more protection than a 50-year storm. So as mentioned in the resolution, we got the support of the city council PIG. They spent nearly $700,000. They hired a expert consultant. They actually did the original hydrology study for the Army Corps, and they came out with an ingenious alternative using tunnels. So basically, if you look at it, the Alwa is flat. You don't get the velocity. The water flow is 1 foot per second, right? It's 200 feet wide. If you can get the velocity going 10 feet per second, that basically a 20-foot wide channel would move the same amount of water as the 200-foot wide canal. If you can get it going 20 feet per second, a 10-foot wide channel can move the same amount of water. So by Oceanit putting tunnels, capturing it at a 100-foot elevation, you get the head pressure to push the water through and bypass the canal. And for the lower watershed, we're looking at using tunnels, but supplementing it with a pumping station and pumping again, bypassing the bottleneck and going straight to the Alwai Harbor where the water ultimately ends up. So for whatever reason, the Army Corps finds ways not to incorporate the community generated ideas. And it's kind of been a fight. And we're hoping that through these resolutions, we get the support of our state legislatures. We want to create an advisory group where we can, appeal to our congressional leadership and have them, since they're the ones that come up with the federal money, tell the Army Corps, hey, look, this is what the people of Hawaii want and what they prefer. So since the Army Corps doesn't listen to us, but that's my history, that's my background, and it's been a long fight. I'm not at risk anymore. Upstream detention basins were taken out of consideration.
Thank you so much.
Treasurer Umoto?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Watase, for your years and years of advocacy on behalf of so many people. I've been a huge admirer of yours for a long time, and so congratulations. I would support and I would move to, if the chair sees fit, to adopt this resolution. I'm not sure if do we have enough people to? Dyson's off the call. Do we still have 6?
We have 6. So we have a motion to adopt the resolution.
I so move.
Okay.
I
Seconded
second.
by.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote with whoever is here. I vote yes. Vice Chair Chi left the meeting at around 6:45. Secretary Rice,
Yes.
excuse me, Member Farringer,
Yes.
Treasurer Kunkoku Umoto,
Yes.
Second Vice Chair Laura Farinas. Yes. Member Emma Davis.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like the resolution is passed. Mr. Otasa, thank you for all your hard work on this and for coming back to our neighborhood board all these years.
Mahalo.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, let us move on to item 4.4, letter in support of the illegal game room package, Council Bill 57, Bill 58, and Resolution 23-228. We have today my fellow chair from the Makiki Neighborhood Board, Ian Ross.
Thank you. What should I say, Chair?
You can stand right here.
Okay. Well, I do want to apologize. I noticed after I already put the slides out, there was a small typo on it. Unfortunately, my hotspot wasn't fast enough to get the new version sent to you in time. But thank you very much for this opportunity to present. The documents. Okay. Pull up the slides. So that's the letter. Will we be able to see the slides by chance, Logan? Yeah. Okay. So I'll start out. Again, my name is Ian Ross. I'm the honor of being chair of the Makiki Lower Punchbowl Tantalus Neighborhood Board. I've loved watching your conversation so far this evening. Definitely a fan of your board and some of the stuff you're working on. I think in light of many of the problems we've been seeing on the evening news related to illegal game rooms, this is a real opportunity for us to collaborate. This letter is modeled pretty similarly to a letter written and passed by the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board. Back in November, our board, along with the Downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board, held a special joint meeting to talk about this issue in detail. Specifically, what we want to be able to kind of focus on for this is the fact that illegal game rooms are bringing on a lot of types of crime and negative activities in our community. They're not just about gambling. We go to the next one. Thank you. So the estimation right now from HPD is about 100 of these rooms active at any given time on our island. We know also there's about 24,000 people with some sort of gambling disorder or addiction, and we're one of only 5 states that don't give any type of direct services. In fact, this estimate comes from the mainland group that looks in this data, because we don't even collect data on gambling addiction in the state of Hawaii. And when we look at how much money these different illegal gaming rooms bring in, it's about an average of $80,000 a month. That was something that we heard from the FBI during the presentation. So right now, one of the things we do is we go after the operators, we go after the people working on these locations, but we hear time and time again, when they close down, they just open back up. We go to the next slide. So basically this process goes after these individuals, but very slow moving. We know there's another stakeholder group in addition to the people who are doing the behind the scenes investing and doing the day-to-day activities. They're the landlords who are incentivized to look the other way. But out of the three groups, I venture to guess from everything I've heard, they're the ones that are least financially incentivized. They might get a few times more in rent, but they're not necessarily getting rich out of it. But they are, however, taking a big risk using their property these ways. So what we want to do with these bills is specifically allow the Department of Corporation Counsel to take legal action. We want to enable the HPD, and we have heard support from them, to be able to work with the Department of Planning and Permitting to be able to issue fines, because we know there's enormous building code violations. So like what we're looking at right now, the current version of the bill would allow for fining of $1,000 a day up to $150,000. But after learning about $80,000 a month, it might not actually be enough. I think it might be sufficient, but I'd actually, once there's a hearing, encourage that to go up. Under the current legal framework, it could be as high as $20,000 a day. I'm not necessarily calling for that either, but I think there's a lot of room between $1,000 a day for violation and $20,000 a day. And somewhere in there, I bet we'll find something that will really disincentivize landlords from allowing them to open up again and again after that. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the first bill just incentivizes and allows for this $1,000 a term fine. The second bill, so the Bill 57, the second one allows while working with DPP for HPD to get training and allow them to be able to actually issue the fines in place of DPP. This is really important because one of the reasons we're not seeing these administrative fines, despite these giant land use, fire code, other sort of building code issues, is the fact that it's just simply dangerous for them to go in and the inspectors to go in. So if you allow for specialized training for HPD to go in and identify certain things and take photos at the, they put certain types of lockup and they're closed down the back door and they've made the hallways too thin for code, that would be really sufficient. And what we're hearing is for all of the training, DPP just simply can't get that. The HPD can't. But if you target a few things, they likely could, is what we're hearing. So that's what those bills do. Finally, the resolution kind of greases the wheels of allowing departments to cooperate, to be able to work together. And that's essentially what the package will be. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I promised the chair I'd keep this really brief, so happy to answer questions after this. What I think is really remarkable about this is it's really a community-driven effort. Our neighborhood boards talked with Councilmember Tyler DeSantis-Tan and Andrew DePola's office. We've seen this bill. We've held joint neighborhood board meetings. We've brought in HPD. Right now, of course, we have happy Kiki to have passed this letter, similar letter to passed Hawaii Kai. You're considering it tonight. I know that the Kailua neighborhood board is considering it. I know that the downtown Chinatown neighborhood board is considering it. We expect more action as well. I think this is a really good opportunity for neighborhood boards to highlight that we're concerned about the types of crime that have been brought in. One of the things that motivated me to look at this is 2 years ago in 2022, someone who was out on bail was similarly bringing a gun to an illegal game room and kidnapping some people, but was out because no one wanted to testify. They got out and immediately did a similar thing again. It was just another raid in Makiki. We know that after hours facilities, activities, I can't call it illegal game room, and a lot of this is me having to not make this a legal declarations case, but we know sort of after hours bars were somehow tied to the recent stabbing on Moku that myself and your chair both talked to Hawaii News Now about. I think enough's enough. I think we have a clear, straightforward way of doing it. What I love about this is this isn't throwing bigger criminal penalties at someone who just happens to be there. It's not just continuing to ramp up penalties in that way. It's going after the financial incentives that we know are really driving this. So thank you very much for this opportunity to present to you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Ian Ross. Questions from the board? Can we pull up the letter just so we can have it on this screen?
I think slogan for multitasking is so good.
Laura Davis.
We share Logan as neighborhood board, by the way.
I think my only question, and again, it looks like you have the HPD's, participation, but, we just we've been talking about and have heard over and over, like, the adding more to HPD's plate, so I just, again, they're on board, but that's my only kind of concern is, are they going to potentially be able to keep up with another thing? And we just kind of keep loading, well, HPD can do it. Granted, if they're on board, then they've thought that through, but it's just something that's popping up to me in terms of, is that a realistic kind of way to keep up with those kind of, the oversight of it?
That's a really great question. And, there's some parts about like, I want to see increased fines and stuff that haven't run by HPD, but I believe it's Lieutenant now. Lambert came, he's in charge of the Vice Department. He's spoken out supportively. He was on our sort of like a panel of experts talking about this. I think one of the big takeaways is they're already doing these raids. In 2018, it was 41. In 2019, it was 51. I don't have the most recent numbers. That's what I was able to find online. I suspect the game of whack-a-mole is a little more effective if the mole stays down a little bit longer after being fined. So I actually think this is my not HPD opinion, might actually be a tool that takes a few things off the plate. If they're able to actually find these places and not just go back time and time again, that could be good. Again, there is the concern, or it did come up of, could they do hours of training? Could they be to the level Department of Planning and Permitting? What I had heard, and one of the reasons I want this letter so we get a hearing with these people in the same room to testify for the bill, is that there's some low-hanging fruit in training. You don't have to be that amazingly well trained to get some measuring tape from one side of the wall to another, to notice that a steel locked door where there's supposed to be a fire exit prohibits people from getting out in case of a fire. And there's some low-hanging fruit that will allow them to be able to justify these fines. That's an area where I'm not the expert, but this letter doesn't necessarily translate to a law. What I'm hoping is it pushes the city council to have hearings so we can dig a little more into it.
Thank you. Thank you. Treasurer Moto and then Secretary Rice.
Thank you. So how do the police shut it down? Do they send in undercover people with cameras, and then they catch them in the act, and then they like raid the place, and then they shut it down now that they have evidence? And is it one time? So how is that first initial takedown happen?
That's a really great question. I asked Lieutenant that question, and he said, we don't want to give away all our methods on video. Which I do feel like HPD leans on that. It's a little too hard when we want to learn more sometimes, but I get it in this case because, they've been inside of crimes. I don't know what sort of danger certain people are coming on board. There's some sort of discovery mechanism. I shared something with Logan. Is it in the document, the breakdown?
Okay, and while you're figuring that out, can I ask you my second question, which is the landlord, how is the landlord notified that this is happening, assuming the landlord's not involved? How is the landlord officially notified? Is it by certified mail? Is it after adjudication that a crime has actually, not just an arrest has been made, but a crime? I mean, it seems like it takes forever for adjudication. You know what I mean? So when is the landlord notified, and then at what point do the tolls, does the penalties start like kicking in?
What I love about your member, Akimiko Iwamoto, so we know each other things, she always asks very good questions. I did come prepared with a frequently asked question sheet. Scroll down just a little bit. There is what the current process is. So the first is the initiation, and I'll let you read the details. I think me reading through the whole thing while it's on screen might be tedious, but I'm happy to do that for anyone who's not able to see it. Initiation, initial verification, then an investigation, then the execution of warrants. So that would be the writ. Then finally, the legal proceedings follow. The timeline of what that looks like can be found on page 3. So scroll down a little bit. There we go. We can see the first complaint coming in, whenever that occurs. Determination of complaint contains sufficient allegations is 0 to 60 days. DPP investigates, which takes up to 180 days. Notice of violation is sometime between 60 and 365 days. Then the notice of order processing, if it gets that far, 60 to 365. And so the total process is estimated off taking between 120 and 970 days. So no wonder we see a lot of places raided and reopened. We're hoping a lot of what this does might be able to help move some of that along faster, because HPD at the point of raid can begin to verify some of the claims. But I'm not saying that this is going to be something which will be extraordinarily faster. I just believe it will be faster than what we see here. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it actually, because my concern was how effective would this bill be. Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I think a lot of the effectiveness doesn't come from speed, but concern. Again, I think there's 3 major. Do you mind if I go into the stakeholder part again? Thank you, Chair. Before I launch into a point, and that's going to take 2 minutes, I should ask the chair for permission. I think there's three major stakeholders here who are operating these facilities we think about. The first one would be the actual investors who bring in all the game room equipment. They're the tenants, so to speak. And they're making, like I was saying, up to $80,000 a month on these facilities as like an average according to the FBI. So their stakeholder analysis is, are we making a return on investment, right? Then there's people who operate and who work there. They might be paid a little bit of extra money to take the risk of being there, and they're taking those jobs and they're making decisions based on that way, maybe considering penalties, how much they paid, how likely they think they're being caught. This isn't so much targeting those groups. There's the last stakeholder, the landlord, who isn't necessarily making huge sums of money. Maybe they're being paid a little extra to look out the other way, but they actually own the property. This is an asset that they want to maintain, we would assume. And offering and being able to find them, I believe, disincentivizes the stakeholder group, which we haven't considered going after before. They are notified before they start getting those $1,000 a day fines. There would be evidence, they could dispute it, but this allows us to begin to potentially scare them out of allowing their properties to be used this way. And I think it's a very straightforward sort of way of going after it, which doesn't necessarily burden too many groups. If DPP is concerned about the burdens, I hope that comes out in any sort of hearing that happens for the bills. That's not any of the things I've heard so far. I hope that sort of summarizes how we're kind of targeting this measure to be able to do it. And again, I want to really thank, this is my idea. This was the idea of Councilmember Tyler DeSantos-Tam and Councilmember Andrea DePaul.
Thank you, Cheryl. Secretary.
Thank you so much. Very informative. Appreciate it. So on last night's TV news was the story about this place called the Attic, which is an after-hours club. And not that there's gambling going on per se, there probably could have been, but there's drugs being sold and underage drinking and all that. Could that be initiative, those kinds of places be incorporated into this thinking? And then I have a second question, so why don't you answer this one first?
I'll answer very quickly. I think under the current wording, no, but as bills move through hearing process, they can always be amended.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question is on these fines, which is great, and they should be higher. Do they actually get paid? And is there a time frame that they have to be paid in? And if they don't get paid, what happens?
My understanding is that DPP can be very persuasive. So, if they go after someone, they can go after someone. And so I'm not sure if anyone here has ever had to navigate through some difficult processes through DPP, but I know from what I've heard, they can be a stick on that.
Thank you.
As that for business owner management, what if you're not,
Sorry, ma'am, can you state your name first?
share around?
Thank you.
If you're not aware of what's happening on a farm, if you have like a middleman comes to you and it's trying to rent out this parcel for a certain amount of time. I mean, why isn't the HPD confiscating the actual machines rather than they do it? Okay, so that takes away from their profit, their people's profit. The people running against and providing the machines.
Absolutely.
So my concern is for the landowner. By going after possible innocent landowners and then tying up their properties for what's happening unbeknownst to them, is that the best way to proceed?
This is a really good question and something which I really wanted to drill into with the bill. So one of the things to keep in mind, to make sure I have the citation right. Okay, so if we look at if you remember the timeline from earlier, and I'll just bring up, you don't need to bring it up right now. There is some sort of determination aspect here. So this is about an ongoing thing. So for example, let's say the police do a raid, they identify this illegal game rooms going on. The fines on a per day basis correspond to the time recognized as occurring. The landlord would have time to be able to respond, to be able to appeal, to bring DPP in. These sort of fines, they are after the place has been inspected for being illegal game room. And it's a continuation from there as long as the illegal game room is being to be run. And in that way, what you essentially have is the landlord's been informed, there's been a warrant, all of the processes occurred. So this wouldn't necessarily deter people on the front end every time, but definitely on the back end. And one of the big concerns, sorry, but one of the big concerns right now is this place is reopen over and over again because the penalties are so small. And the second aspect is about confiscating. So what we would think is you have this big investment, it's like you operate a business, you have to buy equipment, it's very expensive, it's more than any single month's rent or it costs. This isn't always true. These illegal game activities where I've heard like the sort of games they set up might only be a few $1,000s of equipment. So yes. So what's interesting is it seems like it's a relatively low capital investment compared to the upside that these places are experiencing. So when you read sometimes HPD confiscates $8,000 in equipment or $4,000 equipment and $25,000 in cash. If you look through some of the articles, you'll see that. So it's pretty shocking that, you know, when you confiscate, it's actually not much of a disincentivizing factor to these places.
It's
So
the
beautiful.
gambling, it's what causes all the profit,
Yes.
not the actual machine.
And I had the exact same assumption you did when I started looking into it. I was pretty shocked because I know how much local businesses have to invest in like equipment to keep running. And these are pretty shoddy types of things. Actually, I had the slides up earlier. If you want to bring up the slides, you can kind of see some examples of what they look like. So right from the front first slide. In the first and second slide, you can kind of see some of the edges there when you go to the next. Yeah, here we can see basically each of those are probably only cost a few hundred or $2,000. And what they're able to get in terms of return on investment by doing the gambling, it's quite a lot. Also note, these aren't like fair gambling regulated machines like you see in Las Vegas. We've heard reports that they turn up the rewards, even run at a deficit initially, then make it like illegal levels of flow payouts and basically rig the machines in many places. So the sort of revenue that they're receiving is far in excess of any sort of casino in Las Vegas.
Thank you for your question, Cynthia. Thank you. Can we pull up that letter again?
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to adopt this letter from our board?
I so move to adopt this letter.
Okay, second. Second. Any opposition since there are 6 of us and quorum is 6? Any opposition? Okay, seeing none from member Farringer, seeing none from President Rumoto, and none from our board members present today. It looks like we have adopted this letter. Thank you, Ian Ross, for coming in today. Appreciate that. Moving on, sub-district reports. So I had put this on our agenda since some of our members had attended the Sarah Yara rally and 1-year anniversary. But if the board will allow, we have Sarah's mom, Chebun Saniapan, as well as Karen Chung, who has a presentation.
Yeah.
And thank you both for being here today.
Please stand right. Do you have my PDF?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Chung, so I'm the founder of Ward Village Group. Ward Village Moms, so we basically represent about 300 mothers in the Kaka'ako area. Today I'm just going to talk briefly about what we have been doing in relation to mainly pedestrian safety. Can you move to the first slide? And then the next one. So we had a very good turnout with the Sarah Yara rally. Really thank you for everyone who showed up and answered our email. Leading up to the event, 3 weeks before the rally, we emailed the world. A lot of people didn't reply, but we were really happy that a lot of people came and actually show up and support. And in relation to the rally, what I want to emphasize today is that what we've been trying to do in relation to 2 particular House bills that is being reviewed on the floor. And then what is the issues with it? Because, everyone showed up to the rally and get media is great, but the real work has not been done because the 2 bills are still have some issues as we see it from our. So if you look at the graph right now, I want to show you actually what killed Sarah is the gap between the date of an unlicensed driver to the date upon conviction. So we need to make it clear because currently there is discretion from the HPD to not immediately remove the vehicle or the unlicensed driver from continued driving. They have the discretion to issue a citation and they could possibly let them, let's say, drive away. And the graph that shows right here is that despite of the two House bill, HB 1562 and HB 2526, that increases the penalty upon conviction. It still would not do anything. Sarah would have still been killed simply because upon conviction requires a trial. Trial takes 1 year to get to. So what I'm saying is that increased penalty will not help. It might deter mentally, but it will not really take the driver off the street by taking the vehicle away. So this is what the graphic is showing. The two bill increasing by forfeiture of vehicle by, upon conviction. And we know that our court is overwhelmed. So it does not address the problem of a licensed driver. And per Ed Stiffen in his testimony in HB 1562, there has been a steady increase of traffic accidents for non-compliant drivers. 30.2% as of 2023, 39 fatalities was by non-compliant drivers, and it's still been going up. Okay. So these are the facts. That basically is not rocket science. It's not very simple. Any civilians can think of it. A unlicensed driver does not have a license or competence to drive. So once they're pulled over and flagged, they should not resume driving, period. That's it. No question asked.
Right.
And once the police pull it over, it means the police has identified reckless driving. And they have a system to actually check that person's license. So every probable cause is there for the police to say, hey, stop, you cannot resume driving, and that's it. Get the vehicle away for some licensed driver to come pick it up, whatever. That person cannot be on the road. And most importantly, who is the first touch point of these reckless and licensed drivers? Is the police. There's no one else. The police identify someone reckless, pull them over. So the police is the first touch point. So the question is very simple. What do we need to address right now to close the gap? To prevent another Sarah Yara from being hit? It rests with the HPD. It's enforcement. Because we cannot wait for the court. We cannot reform the court. It would take too much. And the immediate touch point is the police. It's our enforcement. So it's very simple. Unlicensed driver cannot resume driving, and the vehicle to be towed to a safe location, not particularly to be impounded to a safe location around the corner or a parking lot for a licensed driver to pick it up. It's very simple. It cannot just get more simple than that. Okay. And then the following next 3 slides, I just want to point out that there are some issues that has yet to be resolved in the neighborhood. For example, I addressed this in 2022, September, that this right turn by Whole Food is very dangerous because there's a bush and this right turn does not have a yield or slow down sign. So any cars come over, they just switch over, and a lot of parents with strollers come up from that bush, and it always is a close hit. So the solution is very simple. Put a slow down and yield a pedestrian sign. And we're in 2024. I don't know when is that coming. So that's question for, I don't know, DTS to the city. Okay. Next thing, so the city fixed the road on Kamakei Street. You can see that there's 2 new park stalls. This thing is a nightmare because no one knows during daylight that those are parked cars, and it creates traffic all the way to Kapiolani from the left turn, from Kapiolani to Kamakei. So it's just like another no-brainer. Yep. Next one. On Kauai Street, 1052, Auto Profession LLC, right in front of the corner of Kamakei and Kauai. There's this auto dealership. They park 3 or 4 rows of car blocking the entire Kauai for their customers every single day from 7 to 9 a.m. And right across from that dealership, it's 100 toddler preschool daycare that parents have a hard time getting in and out of the daycare. Not only the cars reduce visibility for turning out and turning into school, also a lot of kids crossfire. It's really, really dangerous. And I'm surprised that to this day, no one has done anything about it or addressed the business that you should not use public street for your own business parking. And it's 3 rows stacked horizontally. And that's my presentation. Welcome for question. We're still trying to have the 2 bills modified, but in details and in full support of the mothers from Kaka'ako, I will let Chevy to speak. She's the mother of Sarah Yara, who died exactly 1 year ago. Thank you.
Thank you for your passion, Karen. Thank you. Yeah, no brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Shevelin, did you want to say something?
I just thank Karen for being very passionate about
I'm not gonna be able to hear.
supporting me.
Is it okay if we?
Yeah, sure. I just thank Karen for supporting me in all of this through it's been a year since Sarah's been gone. And, you know, our mission is to make our roads safer. I mean, I got a lot of pushback saying, you know, this is not my district, but my district is actually in Kalihi Valley. But it doesn't matter what district I'm at. I mean, people are people, and, you know, I'm not gonna care from one district to another. So, you know, with Karen being part of my backbone and, you know, knowing all these laws and helping me, you know, trying to get to legislation and Senate to change the bill, to make our roads safer. You know, I'm not saying that we need to go and put everybody in jail, but I mean, how can we make our roads safer so that no one has to breathe the way that I had to breathe for the past year, and I continue to breathe. Not only I, but my whole entire family and her twin sister that had to see everything happen before her. So, you know, I just think even Coco Kim, she's been very supportive and coming to the state capitol with me and, you know, saying her testimony. And, you know, it's just that I want everyone to support each other to make a difference in the community. And that's all I can do, because I can't bring Sarah back. So I think this is what she would want me to do. And, you know, that's been giving me my drive so that no one else has to suffer the way that I had to, you know. And she was only 16 years old. She had so much life to live, you know, and she was looking forward to college and, you know, now she's not here. So I wouldn't want anybody else to lose a loved one, no matter if they're teenagers or their grandparents. I mean, I bump into people around this area every time when I take my daughter now. I take her to school every day, and then I stop at Foodland, and a Kapuna sees me at Foodland, and they stop me and ask me if I'm Sarah's mom, and you know, and they say they walk around here, they don't drive, so you know, this is our city. So I don't care where we live or where I live. I'm for the community, and that's all I want to do is make the road safe for everyone. So if we all can come together and put our heads together to try and see what we can do to stop unlicensed drivers to be on the street. I mean, I'm not saying that maybe there's a problem why they don't have their license. We can help them. You know, I'm not saying, you know, I'm a mom that's really strict and say, oh, the heck with it, find them, put them in jail, whatever. But there has to be a problem with, you know, when there's a problem, there's always a solution. So if we can put our heads together to find a solution to get these people either licensed or off the street, however we can to make our roads safer. But thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn, for being here today. Treasurer Yamamoto and then Secretary Litz.
I just wanted to thank, we'll offer my condolences to Chevy, and also offer my gratitude for making our streets safer for, even though this isn't technically your district, I feel like you trusted your daughter to go to school at McKinley, which is in our district, and you know, we weren't able to protect her. And thank you to Karen for your advocacy. It's incredible what you've done and what, so many, a group of mothers can do. Are there any police officers still in the room? Because unfortunately, Lieutenant Seguccio, who normally stays on for the whole meeting, I don't see him anymore. Are there any other HPD members who can speak about process? No? Is everyone gone?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
We do thank Prince Agusho for coming to the rallies.
yes, he was there, but we really do. Maybe next time. I have a list of questions that I wanted to go over with him. So maybe we'll do this at the next meeting. I apologize to Karen and Chevy for not jumping in sooner with these questions.
Thank you, Treasurer Umoto. Secretary Rice.
Thank you, Kim. I echo your sentiments totally. I would like to ask Calvin Say's office, Pualani, if someone could look into that company on Kauai House Street and find out what's going on with their parking their clients' cars on a public street and taking it away from the public. If you would please do that, thank you.
Any other comments from board members?
I think I'm just hearing, again, not just the pedestrian safety, but the couple of other places that have been mentioned. Our board and I think community members are always kind of mentioning different streets and areas that are a challenge. And it started to make me think too, like, where do people go to kind of just note, hey, I've noticed something, or this might not be working. Like, is there a portal or somewhere that people can elevate those things? Like from the public, to, and if not, sounds like we might need one.
311, that was 311.
311. Okay, so then it's about educating people to use 311, because as a community member myself, I don't know, all the numbers to call in certain situations, which is good for me to know.
Isn't one consolidated point to beat this except neighborhood board? And even, for all the condition reasons, I've been feeding it for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, Jerry Ranigan. And just to add what she had said, there's another business. She had the slide up of the corner of Whole Foods. I live in the Naha, which looks over that intersection. And there was another business, and they're called Paradise Petals. It's they have this like roving peddling thing, and they drink alcohol. And they pick up right there on that corner. They block that entire lane. They let their people park at Whole Foods, and then they pick up there, and then the cars have to go around them. And then you have people, and then they come back and they drop off all these rowdy drunkards, and they're like they're jaywalking, screaming in our area. You have people cause car accidents. That's all safety issues, and this is not a business located in the port.
Right.
My land actually is in Waikiki. I know that they were driven on Waikiki, so now they're moved into the port area.
They've been in Kaka'ako Ward for a while.
Yeah, and it's been fun. It's caused traffic, traffic issues, noise issues, and I contacted 311 and nothing really happened for that. And so, we have worked up. There's a lot of issues.
So there you go, Pualani. Here's another one. Paradise Petals. That looks like a cart.
Yeah, it's
a cart with wagon wheels, and the people get on them and they pedal and they're drinking.
That's an issue. And they block them. Okay, they block that thing.
Thank you.
What are they doing?
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you as well to our representatives and their representatives that are here today. The time is now 7:50. Let us move on to residents and community concerns. I think we went over that already. Moving on. Elected official reports. Mayor Rick Langiardi's representative.
Hello.
Hello, you all. Lots of challenging issues. We appreciate having the opportunity to come before you. As is the protocol, I have responses from previous issues that have been raised that have been fed back to me through the system. There's quite a few, and I know that you are late in the meeting, so I'm going to try to go through this really quickly. But if anyone would like clarification on the responses, please bring me back to those issues and we will try to do that. So I'm just going to go numerically from my list. Member Mariano, who I see is not here tonight, asked about lithium battery disposal. And we got a response from E&B that we do accept lithium batteries for every type except for vehicle batteries. And vehicle batteries, you have to make an arrangement with your manufacturer. There's not a system for us as the city to receive those batteries. I don't anticipate that there is anything on the horizon, but I will check on that as well. There was a question a month ago about the responsibilities of city bus operators when they see the safety of driving the bus and those on it, and they do not respond to a passenger who says there was criminal activity off the bus. Can you do something about that? So it is really up to the individual who saw the crime to call the police as opposed to passing that back to the driver, because again, the driver is focused on road safety and the safety of their occupants, and they don't get involved in additional matters unless it's immediately a risk to their passengers. So that was number two. Number three. So this is a report about a homeless encampment on Kiawe Street between Halekuila and Pohukaina. This obviously, I think there was cleared in January, if I recall, and I think we had reported that.
It was cleared in January,
It's
it's
back.
back, and it was.
It's back, and then it's
There was still some like leftover
No,
debris
there's
stuff, but yeah.
Always.
Same thing with
Okay.
Mother
Mother
Ward.
Walton Park.
Yeah, has been
cleared
quite a
out,
bit
too.
as well.
obviously not a solution to the bigger problem, but. Parking meters. So I wonder if someone could help here. I do have information that most of the parking meters, majority of parking meters on Kahaka Street were replaced. There's a note here that there's about 3 additional meters that need to be replaced, and that work is scheduled for February. I didn't get a chance to go by to see if it was done. I don't know whomever was that. Remember Mariano as well? Okay.
It's not here.
Okay, not here. All right. So there was a question. If you recall, I didn't mean to be annoying last time, but I did ask for members to be as specific as possible with some of their requests. So this response gave me a chuckle because I don't think that the specificity was quite enough. So it was about street sign replacement, and the request to replace a street name sign at Veritania and Kapiolani was how it was written down. And I think that was taken from the member. And of course, GFM said Veritania Street does not intersect with Kapiolani. So they didn't know what to do with that. But they did note that street name signs along Veritania Street were inspected at the major intersections, and signs at Veritania Street and Kalakaua Avenue appear to be faded. So they sent it over to the sign shop to fabricate new signs. So all these things do happen. They take a lot because there's a lot of other signs being replaced all around the island. But again, we appreciate the specificity in your request because it allows us to really send someone out and know exactly where they're going and get to the information. Traffic light timing. This is one that was sent to DTS. This is about the intersection at South and King. This is right by the Fosse building. You guys are familiar with this, and it's kind of an odd intersection that there's like a big space where where someone stops at South Street and then where you cross the intersection at King Street. And so the assertion was there was something wrong with the light timing, and the response we got is that DTS checked it out and the light timing does work. They noted that if you are the last to pass through at South Street and like the light is turning yellow, you can actually hit a red at King Street.
Right.
And if that happens, you're supposed to stop at the crosswalk, obviously. And so you kind of feel like you're in no man's land, but that's just what it is. And they're saying that there's no anticipation there's no need to correct that. Their position is that the timing works. So that's item is the response we got. The last item I have on my list is about the landscaping in 1067 Kapiolani, Pacific Condo. And this is,
Specific storage,
okay,
public storage.
condo. I remember it being public storage in our conversations, right? So, the DPP response on this one is unfortunate, but they double checked and they are certain that this is an HCDA property. So this is within the Kaka'ako Community Development District. And so they cannot, you know, they don't have the authority to do something about that, but they passed that information along and recommended that you reach out to HCDA. So hopefully HCDA won't just say the same thing again, but you at least have the information that it is within the district.
It is within the district,
Yeah.
so. It's right where, unfortunately, where Sarah was still, that corner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So happy to cover anything else that was previously asked, or I think maybe just making sure we know what the questions are for next time is always a good practice as well. But I think those are being taken down diligently, so we're probably good with Logan.
Thank you. Treasurer Mono.
Thank you. So I don't know, you know, the sound was cutting in and out for those of us attending online. But did you get back to us about the exact ratio of how many temporary shelter beds, that relationship to how many beds are available across Oahu in relationship to the number, according to the point in time count, the number of unsheltered individuals?
Were you able to attend what do you guys call the meeting in between
The action committee.
action committee? Were you able to attend the action committee meeting?
I did, and I asked both John and the other, and
Sam.
yeah, that question, and neither of them knew the answer.
Okay, that's unfortunate. I spoke to Sam and I was aware that you all had met, and I made the assumption that Sam would have that information as the homeless coordinator. And that is clearly wrong, so I apologize for that. I did speak to Anton Krucky about this as well, and he expressed a willingness to come to the meeting if necessary. But, you know, I do understand your question, and so perhaps what I have to do is just make sure that Anton tries to answer it. I know that Denise Iseri had previously provided a response, but that was more on housing than on homeless shelters, which is your question.
Well, shelter beds. I mean, just because, you know, we're running people from one sidewalk to the other sidewalk, and yet we don't have the beds. And that's the crux of the whole ACLU complaint. So let's, you know, so we do need that answer. The other thing that I did bring up, I don't know, did you hear Karen Chung's comment and picture about the shrubs in front of Whole Foods on the corner?
So that was the first time I heard that, but I did hear it, and I did understand also that there's a meeting set with PTS on that. Was that correct?
No, nothing, no follow-up. She's been complaining or.
Okay, I thought in her presentation that she said there was a pending meeting with PTS. I don't know if are those slides available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love the opportunity to check the slides, and then I can get with Logan afterwards to try to find out if that's something we need to.
Got it. And so her point were I think there were 2 points made. One is the actual shrubbery. And I did bring this up at a previous board meeting with your with one of your predecessors, about, you know, I'm asking the business, I guess Whole Foods, and maybe we could just go do that, is to just ask them to do a lower profile you know, foliage there, so that it doesn't feel startling when, you know, a family walks out to cross that little street and they look like they're coming out of the blue because of the shrubs. So there's that. And then my last one is the timing of the light. And I think, you know, if Mariano were here, he would underscore this. The specific intersection is Kapiolani and Pensacola going Mackay, right? There's a lot of traffic backing up Mauka of Kapiolani Boulevard headed towards Mackay, right? And so to me, and I've set out on that corner sign waving, so for 2 hours, so I know exactly how many cars come through. and not enough. So basically there's there's hardly any cars backed up on Kapiolani, but they're all backed up on Pensacola. So to me, it means that there's a problem with the timing. You're not allowing enough cars to go through when the light should be proportionate to the traffic. So anyway, that's the afternoon traffic. So those three things, I hope that was enough detail.
So I just want to make sure we got this right, because the previous response was obviously not the intersection you were referring to. And you're saying Member Mariano did not refer to that intersection either, right?
Well,
we had,
but I know that
so
this.
you're saying Kapiolani and Pensacola heading Mackay.
Correct.
Okay.
Pensacola going down.
We should have that captured at this point. We can send that back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Model Secretary. Okay. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, the shrubbery by Whole Foods, I think that might be Howard Hughes Corporation responsibility. And the only reason why I say that, because I walk my dog every morning along there. And when there's glass on the driveway going into the loading dock, which from Queen Street, which serves the IAO building, all the businesses there, including Whole Foods, and there's oftentimes a lot of glass. I call Taylor Herring, who's the general manager for Howard Hughes Corporation Ward Village, and it's cleaned up in 30 minutes. So I think Taylor, and I can give you his contact information if you'd like. Because there's also shrubbery on Queens Lane where Scratch Restaurant is and the yoga factory place. And there are 2 crosswalks there. And when that shrubbery gets too high, the drivers can't see the children. So I mentioned that to him when he came on board about 6 months ago. He's like clockwork. He gets those shrubs trimmed regularly. So let's do it over by Whole Foods too.
I appreciate that, and certainly safety is a huge priority. I would say, let us understand the information before I comment, because I'm not, today was the first day that I was receiving any of that information.
Okay. Well,
Sorry, it's just more for like the next one. I'm just really curious about the 311 number. Like, how many people are called? Like, I just hear so many infrastructure things, and I don't know, what's the public's kind of method? 311's one, but I'm assuming that's an operator that, and I've never called 311. An app, got it. So it's a data set, but just like so many people mentioning things, and I'm curious on how effective that is. Or again, is there a public education needed in terms of making people aware that that exists? Because I'll be honest, I didn't know that that existed. Where like these things can go in and a data set is creating like, where are these high profile problems happening so we can address them more quickly.
Sure, so it would probably be fairly easy to just get basic information about how 311 works, is my guess.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like you're asking for.
I think just, I'm assuming that if I don't know about it, there's probably other people that don't. And so I think, we're just kind of funneling people back towards the systems that we already have set up.
Communication.
And did you?
Public education, communication.
Thank you. Did you have something to say?
About the 311? Yeah, I'm like.
Oh, could you step forward real quick? That's okay. No. Yeah, can you try to catch it?
Further.
Can you say your name, just so we know?
Michelle Lynn, I'm sitting at UH. I'm on the Nextdoor app. I provide with my intermittent classes. It's just to keep updated about what people in the neighborhood of Manila are saying. And I have seen in the past month a handful of residents, not just in Manila, but Mupiki, Mapali, and surrounding areas that are saying like they see an issue, whether it's trash, construction issues. I also saw something about Shrubbery University going windward, but anyway, people are saying that when they do reach out to the 311, no one is responding, or they don't see much of an improvement. I've seen countless posts about that, again, from residents and people in the area. So
Thank you for your comment, and thank you for being there today as well.
Thank you.
City Council Member Say's office, we have in person, Ms. Pua, it's Ms. Kalpane.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, that was it. It's been, um, so, Councilmember Say apologized that he couldn't attend the meeting today. So I decided to come in person for the first time.
Welcome.
I actually used to work with Logan. I was in NA before, so at the NCO department. So, and there's some announcements that I have for Councilman Say's office. So if you haven't gotten a chance to vote for the Honolulu Zoo, I don't know if anybody has talked about that. The Honolulu Zoo is currently in 4th place. So what we want to do is you can actually vote up to 3 times a day. The website is http /10best.usatoday.com for voting. You can vote, I believe, every 7 hours. You can put in a vote. So the first time we initially started voting, we were in 2nd place, but this is like across the nation, so everybody just gotta vote if possible. The deadline for the voting is March 2nd, 2024. Okay. The second thing is everybody's got the monthly newsletter for February in person. The other thing is I'll go over it. But I got some responses that also, so in regards to member Rodney Chang regarding the meter pole that's sticking out, I know that he's not here, but I did submit a request for investigative services, which is a riser on our side, on the council side. And the concern was forwarded to the Department of Transportation, and it is in progress, so they're aware of it at the moment. Member Mariano also commented about speed humps on Pensacola and bike lanes on Cook Street. I did submit a riser to the Department of Design and Construction to see if they have anything forecasted in the next coming years of when maybe possibly that could be a project for them. I can also double check their report that's forecasted in the next year or so, and I can get that to Member Mariano. In regards to Member Rice, you got your answer for the weeds in front of, we got that tonight, which is thank God for parents. We also have, and I do have the ADA compliance about Davis raised concerns about the homeless encampment blocking the sidewalk, Kauai Street, and between Halikula and Ho'okaina. So HPD is gonna do a regular check to make sure that that area is maintained. So we both have support at the same time, which is great. And then, let's see, I will check on the shelter bed ratio on our side, just to make sure that we have that information. And I believe that's my report. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Yes, Member Rice.
Right. We have an update on McCoy Pavilion's completion.
McCoy Pavilion is actually planning on the report from Design and Construction. They're looking at year 2025. So it's probably gonna be, we're looking at either, because what happens is they have a budget and it's actually a 4-year budget, but it can be adjusted every 2 years. They can possibly create it where it can be made sooner based upon, of course.
This renovation's been going on for 4 years already.
Yeah.
The city is losing tons of event money, festival money, rental money.
Right.
People are clamoring. I look at it every day. There's maybe 2 construction workers there a day for 4 years.
Yeah.
Someone's got a lot of fire. I'll go to Mayor Blangiardi myself if I need to, but it is ridiculous.
The Department of Design and Construction, when they do have their projects out, it's anywhere between 2 to 4 years for their projects, depending on how big the.
So the last completion date I got was April 2024.
Correct.
That was about 5 months ago.
Correct. Right
So
now it's forecasted for hopefully, they're looking at possibly the end of 2024, but it's just based upon budget. So.
it's not based upon budget. It's based upon someone lighting a fire under whoever they need to light a fire. And if the city isn't concerned about losing money, then why should we care? Bottom line, and festivals have no place. I mean, there was a festival who came here last fall, and they held their festival at Mother Waldron Park. And while it was really nice, it wasn't what it used to be when it was at McCoy Pavilion and the little area there. It's just $1.7 million to redo a kitchen. You can build miles and miles and miles of freeway in that amount of time. And I'm angry. I don't like it. And a lot of other people in our district don't like it. It's wrong.
Okay.
So someone needs to get angry at the city level, please, and make some noise and light a fire under whatever department it is. It's just wrong. City, the constituents don't have a place to hold events. That's wrong for over 4 years.
I understand.
Thank you.
Otherwise, thank you for your comment.
I can go on and on and on.
Oh, thank you. And
Any other questions?
we're good.
And thank you, Pula, for hearing me out.
Sure. The other thing, okay, the 311 app, you guys, give you guys information about that. I'm also a board member on the Kaiwo keyboard. So what I do is it is on, you can either download it on your iPhone or on your Android. And what you can do, the best information is to give them photos. So take photos, it can take photos or video. You can download that into the 311 app. They give you a service number, like they'll ask you, you know, what's the concern? They will ask you if you have a photo or any information regarding the street specifically. It's kind of like when you call HPD, you gotta know specifically what that street is. Of course, a picture is worth 1,000 words. We were just told at the Kaiwo board that they're trying to be more efficient with the experience of 311 app, because you can do one or two things. You could either go to the 311 app. They said it's gonna go directly to the department. So for instance, if there's a faded sign, and that's Department of Facility Maintenance, they would come, they would get your concern electronically straight to their office, and then they will actually get the sign and get it ready to go outside based upon, of course, availability of, you know, resources, as they call it, or labor. I've seen, down on Manoa Road, there was like 4 no parking signs. They fixed it in like 3 days. So it can be, so it just depends. It depends on how fast it can get out there for resources. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but I personally, as a Kaiwo neighborhood member, I went within 3 blocks of my district, sub-district 1, I found 14 faded signs. So I started an Excel spreadsheet with my photographs, and I'm actually downloading it to 311, and so far, like, it hasn't been that bad, so. Yeah, so it's something that can be downloaded. Yeah.
I think too, it's like, yeah, just public education so that people are aware of it, but I think, you know, ease of use, and then again, what's happening to that data? Like who's aggregating, like if there's the same thing coming in over and over, is that, again, are they being handled as one-offs? Or are they being handled as like, hey, 15 people have mentioned the same thing?
Right.
So just, you know, kind of like what's happening with that data and how is it being distributed? Because it just seems we're talking a lot about those things over and over again. And so it doesn't make me have a lot of confidence in the efficiency of the system itself, if that makes sense.
And I understand that your point, because if only one person, like, for example,
Yeah, so
one
it's been like-
person snaps a photo of like of a faded sign, where you don't even see the addresses, then they don't know what to fix. So we want our best to just make sure that the camera is, or even video is even good too, with your comments talking to what you're seeing. That can be downloaded as well. But what we were told at the last Kaiwo board, which is last week, that they're gonna try and do, hopefully, right now it's about a 3-week to a month turnaround time, which is about a month of time where you could call me. I can actually write down the faded sign, email me that picture, and I can try and submit it. The thing is, through the 311 app, you eliminate me and you eliminate the person that's processing it to the department. They said it goes directly to them now, electronic. So they'll see it. So if there's 15 people that actually is confirmed for that one sign, they'll see it and see how much report.
Thank you for that report. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know our time. The only thing it makes me think of is, again, how many people are gonna be that detailed in reporting things? So how many of that, you know what I mean? Like is there a way to make it where they can select a certain location to make it easier? You know, I know videos and photos are better, but I don't.
If the chair, my recommendation.
Sure.
So as neighborhood board chair, I probably report about half a dozen things a week myself. Some weeks, you can use a Google map. It has links to it. You can place it anywhere it's at.
Okay, so it's again, this is just me getting more used to using it, but again, teaching other people how to use it is gonna be the biggest hurdle.
Right.
So,
It's about as, almost as easy as Google Maps, kind of. It's not that easy, but it's very similar. So
people can make really easy things really hard.
Right.
But thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming in person tonight.
Thank you.
Come back now.
Okay,
Okay, the time is now 8:16 p.m. Let us go through the rest of our agenda. And I do want to recognize that Ms. Janelle Denny from Health and Safety's office also put the your newsletter in line. So thank you. Councilmember Tyler DeSantos Sam or his representative. I see Ms. Robin Hensky online.
Hi, everybody. So, I put our newsletter in the chat. Pua did a great job in introducing the Honolulu Zoo entry form. I put it in the chat for you guys as well. And then regarding the 311 app, that's an avenue that constituents can use for issuing for telling the departments directly where they think there are problems in the community. And it is kind of, I mean, as Pua mentioned, it is similar to Google Maps in that you can pin a direct location. And as you submit it, it goes to the relevant departments. The data in which I think it was Emma who asked for, I would love to know that information as well, as how many people are actually asking for particular information, and if there's any hotspots in the district that we can focus on. I think that data would be helpful. So I look forward to trying to get that information soon. And then for our office, we heavily use the riser system, which is kind of either through our website, people contact us, or via email or phone call. And our constituent services director, Lynn Robinson Arderico, she files a riser, which is a formal request to the departments on various issues in the community, such as potholes, homeless encampments, just a various plethora of issues that constituents can bring up to our office. But if there's anything else that I can help you guys with, please let me know. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Robin Hensky. Board. Okay, appreciate your report tonight.
Thank you.
Rep Nishimoto or his representative, office representative, I see Taylor, or I actually see Rep Nishimoto online.
Hey, good evening, board and community members. Just one quick thing to report. So on March 9th, I will be doing my annual free tax preparation clinic at the state capitol from 9:30 to 1:30. If you would like to sign up for the event, it is by appointment only. So please contact my office if you'd like to sign up. That's my report. If you have any questions, I'm free to take it now.
Thank you, Rep Nishimoto. Questions, board, community? Okay, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Representative Adrian Tam, who is here in person. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm on the list, so I'm starting. I thought I had to like leave early because I have a 6:40 at 8:40, but I put my entire report at the end in case I could go. But I so you have my newsletters. I didn't bring up copies, but the newsletter is at the Capitol website under my website part. We have a town hall on March 1st, this Friday, at Waikiki Community Center at 5:30. We'll discuss the Waikiki resiliency plan. It'll be me and Senator Moriwaki and several other stakeholders that are part of the plan to present it as well, and we'll give a legislative update there as well. Got a lot of complaints about 1701 Alawai Boulevard. I know that's not within this area, it's in good purview, but it is across right in the border, so you guys see it. It is covered in graffiti, and
I don't know how they got graffiti onto the roof of the property, but yeah, we did apprehend one person that has been tagging the building. And what we also discovered with the help of Councilmember Waters is that they weren't supposed to operate a commercial parking in the area and charge people to park there when they want. So they're actually in violation of city zoning laws. I want to thank all the people that brought in their complaints to us about that property. We sent 2 notices to the owner, one about the zoning violation, the other one about derelict property. Finally, we got a complaint today about Ohana Place, which is that food truck area at the All Boat Harbor. Again, not in this area, it's Kirby, but it's the border. And we've realized that they're allowed to operate live music in that area, but it has to be at conversational level. And I assume that just means at the lowest volume or no amplified speakers that could admit to the building next to it. But DLNR is going to send someone over there to investigate and try to rectify the situation for the neighbors. That's my report. And you guys, well, any questions?
Thank you, Rotam. Questions, board? Community? Good to go. Thanks for being. Thank you.
Should get one of those,
Okay. Thank you.
I live someone.
You need to know.
No. That was my entire report in case I have to be.
Thank you.
They need to get one of those cafeteria monitors, like a stoplight where once the noise level gets too high, it like beeps at somebody.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Thanks for the reports. Okay, Speaker Psyche or Frank Rojazinski? Oh, I see speaker
Here, sure.
online.
Shirley, I'm here.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks, Chair and members of the Neighborhood Board. So I just have a couple of items to report. So first of all, we did submit a written report to the board. Second, on the McKinley crosswalk issue, I just want to reiterate on behalf of the area elected officials, Councilmember Tam, Senator Moriwaki, Representative Nishimoto, Representative Tam, and myself, that we just want to extend our deepest condolences to Sarah's family. This was a tragic loss. There is no excuse for what happened. I will let you know that those of us who are in the legislature, as well as Council Member Tam, we discuss this issue almost on a weekly basis, and we have ever since the accident 1 year ago. And we have really been trying to work hard to see how we can help to alleviate this situation and to provide a remedy for what happened and to prevent this from happening to other families in our state. This issue has been top of mind for all of us. And this is why, 3 weeks after the accident last February, we got together, the elected officials got together, and we worked with the State Department of Transportation and the City Department of Transportation Services. Within the first 3 weeks, we got the Department of Transportation to install speed humps at the McKinley crosswalk. They also installed a red light camera within the first 3 weeks. We got the city to begin the process of installing a left turn signal at the McKinley crosswalk. We also worked with the Department of Transportation to install speed humps on Pensacola Street, 3 sets of speed humps at the entrance to McKinley High School. That was done within 3 months of the accident. Following the accident last February, I met with the prosecutor's office to, after I'd learned that the defendant in this case, the driver in this case, had over 200 traffic violations. I met with the prosecutor and I said there was something wrong with the system, that this guy needed to be prosecuted at some point. He should have been thrown in jail because the current law allowed the prosecutor's office to prosecute him and to seek jail time. But for some reason, the prosecutor's office did not do that. So as a result of that meeting, which was last year, the prosecutor's office changed its policy, and it no longer plea bargains these repeat offender cases. They are now taking these cases to trial. We also met with the judiciary 3 weeks after this accident to assess what was happening at the traffic court level with the judges. We learned that the judges were basically agreeing to the settlement agreements, to the plea bargains that were being presented by the prosecutor's office. As a result of that meeting, the judiciary agreed that the judges needed to be retrained and to be directed to take these kinds of cases to trial. So there has been a change within the system, within the way that we enforce the laws in our state when it comes to repeat offenders in this kind of situation. So again, what we did within months of the accident last year was to install speed humps, the left turn the red light camera, the process for a left turn signal, and also changes within how we prosecute and take these cases to trial. In addition to that, Representative Nishimoto, Representative Tam, Senator Moriwaki, and myself have sponsored legislation this year to enhance the penalty for repeat offenders, to increase it to a Class C felony, and to allow the judge to confiscate vehicles that are used in the commission of this offense. So this legislation is currently pending in the legislature. There are a couple of other bills that have been introduced to address this situation. All of those bills are still alive and are moving through the legislature. So that's my, I wanted to make that report and emphasize what we have done with respect to this tragic situation. And again, I just want to extend on behalf of all of us, our condolences to Sarah's family for what happened. It's just inexcusable, and it should never ever happen again to any family in our state. The third issue that I wanted to cover tonight is condo insurance. There is a situation that's growing that affects the cost of insurance for those of us who live in condominium units. The area legislators are sponsoring a town hall meeting on March 12th at 5:30 p.m. at McKinley High School. We'll be having a discussion on the state of condo insurance, and we have a panel of experts that will be joining us to answer questions and concerns from residents. So if you can, please join us on March 12th at 5:30 p.m. at the McKinley High School cafeteria. So thanks, Charlie. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Speaker Saiki. Questions from the board? Any members? Okay, thank you for being here tonight with your report.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Senator Sharon Moriwaki or Charles Uzamoto? Okay. Governor Josh Green, Representative Happy. Hello. Hi. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
There were 3 of you, now there's 1.
Yeah, I know they are on Big Island for a hearing today, so they were unfortunately unable to attend. So you're stuck with me. The newsletter is here. It's on this back table, but I also sent a link in the chat for everyone. Please check it out. As a just state representative, I think I'm obligated to mention that we're featured in it this month. So feel free to take a read. But following protocol, I have some answers for you. So I got some great responses. But last meeting, there was some interest in when we talked about the state of the state from the governor. We talked about how 50% of the teacher vacancies were filled following contract negotiations. You guys were interested in how many of those teachers were certified, and then if there were incentives for the newly hired teachers to get them to stay on island. So as of October 1st, 2023, 95.5% of those teachers were certified through partnerships such as the Grow Our Own program with the University of Hawaii at Manoa College of Education. Non-certified teachers can receive stipends to cover tuition costs for teacher education as well. And then as for how we're going to get them to stay on the island, negotiated pay increases and the continuation of pay differences for hard to staff subjects
and geographic regions have also helped fill and keep those positions. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free. I'll take notes and get you guys the answers.
90.5% are certified.
As of October 1st, 2023. Yes. That was the stat that I got back.
Curious about it.
Does that include the 300 or so teachers that were brought to Hawaii from the Philippines?
I will check on that. I'm curious about that too.
You know, pay is a huge part of that, but I only know because like I coach 4 uncertified teachers already. So like I can tell you right now, there's 4. So like 95.5, I know again, in the overarching number, but having been a part of the department for a long time too, I think it's curious, or like what are our standards of, you know, qualification and certification is the next piece of that too. But I know that the standards have been dropping. Not the big thing, but I'm just a little surprised, but I appreciate the follow up on it.
And there was a press release that went out that also had some great information on it. And being new to the area and new to government, I learned a lot and a lot of how they fill those vacancies. And it looks like technology played a huge part in how they advertise the roles. Apparently it was harder before they introduced NeoEd. If any of you have heard of that, it seems to have really helped with making these positions more public. And it allowed applicants to specify their desired work location down to the school or office. So apparently previous applicants could only indicate a broad region or island when applying for positions. So I know that has to do with a 57% reduction. The Department of Education gave me a very thorough response. So I tried to pull out the answers you all were looking for, but I can follow up with that direct question about the Philippines, the 300.
I've definitely heard NeoEd come up with some administrators I worked with before. So, you know, definitely.
I think they're excited about it.
Yeah, more so than the last, that's for sure.
Yes. And then some other questions were mainly in regards to the homelessness issues. And some of this may have been covered in the action committee because I know that homeless coordinator John Mizuno was able to attend, which is awesome. He wanted to tell all of you guys that he really appreciated being able to attend and answer questions. And then the questions really revolved around the holidays and then where they were going to be put. Well, they appreciated the concerns about these places needing to be towards transportation and grocery stores. Due to various constraints dealing with land ownership and certain concerns from the community, at times the locations can be hard to be centrally located to transportation and grocery stores. So most of them will have transportation services on site. And then as for the locations so far, they're still reviewing them. So they didn't have a list or anything like that to provide. But as of our last meeting, I know 2 more have been established, one over in Kaneohe and then one in Middle Street. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm probably not the person to answer them, but I can track down answers for you all.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, ready to go. Thank you.
Guys.
Congressman Ed Case's representative. I don't see anyone. Let's move on to agency reports. HCDA, is Ms. Francine Murray online? Okay, not online. Ms. Marissa Gonzalez, the new representative from HART. Are you online? You are.
Hello. Hi. Good evening. Let me pull up my screen here. Just a second. Bear with me.
And while you're doing that, Ms. Marissa Gonzalez, you're going to be our HART representative moving forward, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Let me post this in the chat room. Okay. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Marissa Gonzalez. I'm with the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation, here with an update on the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. So for segment 1, as a reminder, the first operating segment from East Kapolei to Aloha Stadium is operational. For Skyline operations, please contact DTS by visiting honolulu.gov/skyline for information. Segment 2, Aloha Stadium to the Middle Street Transit Center. The construction of the 4 stations for this airport segment is still ongoing and expected to be substantially complete in the second quarter of 2024. The transfer to DTS for passenger service is targeted to start in 2025. For the safety of the public and our construction crews, HART and its contractor STG would like to remind the public of an ongoing traffic update to expect intermittent lane closures on eastbound Kamehameha Highway near the Middle Street intersection, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And that's Sunday to Thursday until summer 2024. Access to the businesses will be maintained, but please plan for extra travel time. And all eastbound motorists from Nimitz Highway and the H1 freeway, exit 18B, will be detoured. And that's, I also posted the link in to the e-blast in our chat room, which includes more information, including a monthly progress report for January that you can read. It's about 64 pages, so it's a great report to dig into. Moving on to segment 3 progress, the city center utility relocation in downtown and Dillingham is ongoing, and the utility relocation work in downtown Iwilei and Kaka'ako is expected to finish at the end of 2024. And the Dillingham utility relocation work completion is expected in 2026. The city center guideway and stations contract procurement process is still ongoing, and that contract is expected to be awarded this year, 2024. Let's see, lastly, our Shop and Dine on the Line spotlight for this week is also featured on our e-blast, and that comes out every Monday, but this week is Mama Ya Cafe. It's the Shop and Dine on the Line program is on HART's website and social media platforms to support local businesses within a quarter mile of the rail alignment. It's a free program that highlights local businesses with the goal to encourage the community to go out and support local businesses during construction. And as always, for general information about HART, please visit honolulutransit.org. And questions can also be emailed to info@honolulutransit.org. You can also call our 24-hour project hotline number, 808-566-2299, and somebody's on the other line at all hours. So there's one person handling that phone call right now. I take it every now and then during the day. So feel free to call that, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Questions from the board? Okay, community. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank
That
you.
concludes our agency reports, announcements. We have the KT Street Festival on March 16th. They had come and presented to the board in January, so the link to the festival is on there. We have our social media accounts, Facebook and Instagram. We are going to be in recess for March in observance of Kohio Day. Our next regular meeting is on Tuesday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. And our next action committee meeting is scheduled for March 14th here at Mtiki Christian Church at the Upper Social Hall. So it's here, but it's a different location. We are broadcasted in Ololo, and that concludes our meeting for February. Meeting is adjourned. It's very long. Yeah. Bye, Caroline.